I mean, you talk about psychology. When I talk to Popovici, a lot of it is just about what are you thinking and how do you think? Because how does a 17-year-old think to themselves, I can swim faster than any man in human history? You know, how do you even think that at 17? I can start to understand it when you're a full-grown man, maybe like 22, 23, and you've had worlds of experience, and then you start to kind of fall into this belief. But this kid, in a way, and I don't like to call him a kid because he's a man now, but like this kid is thinking beyond his years. And the only other person I've met like that who's done that for me was Richard Quick. Richard Quick was always a 10-year ahead thinker. He thought way beyond where I could think, and he could see it and he could feel it. And I imagine you're probably very similar to that in terms of the psychology of the sport. I'm sure that you kind of fall into that realm a little bit, wouldn't you think?
Well, the first thing I'd say about that swim, which I don't think has been sort of reported enough, is that venue is not an easy venue to swim fast in. Mm. You know, it was windy a lot of the time. When it wasn't boiling hot, it was raining. Right. And so the environment in terms of the crowd was sensational, but in terms of a pure let's swim fast environment, it's got its challenges. Mm-hmm. You know, so you could argue that swim's 0.2, 0.3 quicker in an indoor venue in you know an optimal setting. Mm. The second thing that I think is the bit that is the most intriguing to me is it's the front to back 50. You know, the drop off is so negligible from what we've seen from the fastest guys in the world in that event, and that's why his 200 so good, obviously. Mm. That's a whole new piece, because most sprinters, I think, spend their lives working out how they hold it together down the back 50. This guy's got to work out how he holds it together down the back 50, not change that, but how he gets out quicker, because he isn't out sensationally quick. But the second 50 is just a new level, a new level. I also think from what you raised there, which is a really important point, with youth comes naivety, and with naivety sometimes comes easier performances. Because I'm not sure that I'd be interested to know whether if he went out to that race with a coach's voice in his ears or his own voice in his head saying, I'm going to break the world record. I don't know that helps an athlete ever. But what does help is I'm going to dive in and be the best version of myself today. And that has the capacity to break a world record. And so it's a slightly nuanced concept of going out to a race of I don't think I can lose. B, I'm in the best form of my life. C, I've proved that across the rounds. And D, all I have to do is dive in and structure my race in the best way that my body and my abilities suggest I should. Because this isn't a big guy, you know. The S&C guys must be looking at this and wondering whether they're out of work for these sprinters, having seen him, you know. And I'm sure they're not. But this is someone that hasn't achieved this through necessarily force that's been learned in the gym. This is a guy that when he puts his hand on the water, the force that he generates, that's aquatic specific force, is just another level. His relationship with the water is potentially the best we've ever seen from an athlete ever. That's the thing we have to learn. So I don't know that he walked out going, right, I'm going to break this world record. But I would suspect and hope that he walked out going, I'm going to swim faster than I've ever swum before. Yeah. By the things I've learned from the heat and the semi-final. And if I do that, the world record's on the cards.